Game on.
Good
All
go.
right. Shall we start with our roll call?
Yep.
I'm Katie Reese. Ken Hutchinson.
Present.
Alderman Brian Johnson.
Excused.
And Chuck Yang.
Here.
Hello, Chuck. And Alex.
Good morning, everybody.
Zacharias.
Good morning.
Morning. And our liaison representatives, Beth Kowalski.
Present.
Did I say it right, Beth? Rizal Piquero Almonte.
Nope, I think she froze.
Yep. It's because of the weather.
Oh, there you are.
Oh, sorry. Rizal and Timothy and Sadie. Do we have those folks? Okay.
He's excused, but I think the others are absent.
Okay. All right. So we move to approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda for July 26th?
I motion.
Second.
All right. Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. The agenda is approved. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from our June 14th meeting?
Motion to approve.
A motion to
Second.
approve from Mr. Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, that brings us to regular business. May I hand it over to our esteemed Public Arts Coordinator, Laura Schley.
Yeah. Item number 1, regular business, consideration with possible action on the City of Green Bay Public Arts Grant Application, the Chantel's Holiday Concerts 2023. To give you a little bit of a background information on our art grant, since we have a few applications we're going to be reviewing today. The city allocated $150,000 towards public art grants from the ARPA funds, American Rescue Plan Act dollars. These funds in the public art grant program, based on our setup that you guys had approved, was to have funds dedicated to artists, artist teams, makers, performers, arts organizations, really any sort of creative mover or shaker that's looking to create art opportunity within Green Bay. Applicants are eligible to receive a one-time no match required grant ranging between $2,500 to $10,000, and it can be used to fund a project completely. Our first applicant that we have this morning is submitted on behalf of the Chantels for Debbie Hansen.
Morning.
Are the Green Bay's longest organized women's singing group. And their proposal is to have funds assist with preparing for their holiday concerts and at least 2 performances that they hold at local elder care facilities. We do have Debbie here this morning. I know she has a time commitment, so I don't want to keep her too long. So if we want to open the
Thank
floor,
you.
then Debbie can speak. We'll need her name and address then.
Motion to open the floor.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The floor is open.
Debbie, if you could just state your name and address for the record really quick, then you can share a little bit about your project.
Sure. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. My name is Debbie Hansen. My address is 425 George Street in Green Bay, Wisconsin, 54302. The background, as you probably have in front of you, again, we're the oldest women's singing group in the greater Green Bay area. We've been around since 1966. Of course, I haven't been in there that long, but we before COVID, we had probably 50 members. And now we're inching back since COVID to try to get our numbers back up. We have about between 25 and 30 members at the moment. And we love singing together. It's a group of women that also I consider my friends. We love to sing, obviously. And our mission is to, for the holiday season, we have concerts. Well, yeah, I guess we call them concerts for the holidays at venues that also are pantries and or have pantries so that we can help to feed the homeless in the greater Green Bay area. And also we love to sing at our senior living communities in Green Bay so that we can bring some of the holiday joy to them as well. Our project for the grant obviously revolves around all of that. And it includes things like, since COVID, we haven't had the funds to do anything fun or things to help us to be more professional, such as something seemingly simple as new costumes. We do have a variety of costumes, but they've been around and handed down from member to member as they come and go. And so we're really hoping that we can, part of this grant would go to allowing us to get some new costumes for our group. Is there any questions that I can answer for you guys?
I have a question. So, thank you very much for coming and for presenting in the application. What types, so in terms of public art, how would you say that this concert series impacts our public art portfolio, and specifically as it relates to the artists in your group? And because we typically have visual artists that, you know, receive dollars from public art funds, and the fact that you're not visual artists is I think is an asset. So can you explain how specifically you are targeting public art in this application?
Thank you. Good question. So we, it would be my belief that we, in having our concerts, it's open to the public. Anybody can come. We don't charge except for perhaps a food item for our pantries, that kind of thing. So we don't charge to make money for ourselves. We are a not-for-profit. And we perform we perform songs as a whole, as a group, for all the members to sing in. But we also have what we call small groups. So in the concert, we would have other groups of maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 women that would practice outside of the larger group. And that could be dancing and singing, and we use props and things of that nature. So and also when we go to the senior living communities and sing for them, we're doing the same thing. So we have all of our props and all of our small groups, and we kind of use them as a test environment for the concert sometimes, but they enjoy it so much, and we enjoy being there for them as well. And I think that the visual arts or the arts outside of the visual arts community, we can enhance by our ability to make people smile, to make people laugh, to just have a good time and enjoy themselves while we enjoy ourselves all together in singing for them. I hope that answers your question.
Yes. So there's 2 concerts that would be available for the public to view?
Yes. Usually we have at least 2 concerts around the holiday season, meaning in December. And then we also try to have at least 2 visits to different senior living communities in the same time frame. And I say it that way because obviously the holidays, people are taking vacations and things of that nature. So we try to fit all of that in the after Thanksgiving, before Christmas kind of deal. And we also try to do different senior living communities. We do some in the fall, and then we do some more in the spring. So we have a lot of requests, but so we try to do at least 2. We hope sometimes we do more, depending on our time frames.
Any other questions?
Motion to close the floor?
Seconded? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, floor is closed.
Thank you so much, Debbie. You don't have to stick around because I do know you have another meeting to get to, but you're more than welcome to hang out while you can.
Thank you. I'll say goodbye. Thank you so much for the consideration and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Debbie.
Is there
Okay,
initial questions or discussion that we'd like to have? Debbie is requesting $8,823 for the project she has proposed.
I agree with Kent. It's nice to have a performance event. The 8,000, I think it's reasonable, but just to make sure are we concerned about limits on monies as far as spending, or so that's my question. You know, is $8,000 going to take a big chunk of our pot money, or?
We were granted, or we were allocated $150,000. And we've kind of been given the directive to move the money. So to me, $8,000 would be a lot to get, but in this context, I think we are well within means to spend $8,000. The grant limit as far as what we can limit to an applicant is 10,000.
looking at their budget, I think these are very modest requests, and some of these expenditures will help them, like the costumes, for example, they can use for years. So I think this is great seed money. We're supporting them at a time that they're rebuilding from COVID. As you all have noted, it's performing arts instead of visual. So this has my full support.
Yeah, I would agree. And Alex, so $150,000, and that's supposed to be used, I think, it's supposed to be allocated by 2024. And it's my understanding that if we potentially use it all up by then by funding our projects, there potentially could be more funds to access. And if we have a successful program for funding projects, we're creating art in our community. I mean, that bolsters our ability to potentially attract more funds to the GBPAC. So that's my understanding. Is that fairly accurate, Laura?
I think that's the dream. What we know at this moment is that council has allocated $150,000 for us to use. There is no, that is my goal, but there's a lot of other costs and needs within the community. That being said, though, insane thunder here. That being said, with this money being COVID relief funds, and since the arts and culture sector was such a hard hit sector, and it still is working to get back to pre-pandemic numbers and attendance and everything else, I don't think it does us or our local artists any good to just sit on this money. I think it's beneficial to have it out in the community, working with the artists and having them get back to work.
Yeah, I agree. And the fact that this is a group of many women, and that it will benefit, I think is even better. So I'm in favor of allocating. Actually, I'll go ahead and make the motion to allocate at $8,823 to the holiday concert series.
Second that.
Motion is seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. Good job. Regular business number 2.
Consideration with possible action on the City of Green Bay Public Art Grant Application, Crossing the Digital Bridge in Art Making. Again, this is being funded through the same program that is set up with American Rescue Plan Act dollars. This applicant, Leah Michelle Khalif, is proposing the project titled Crossing the Digital Bridge in Art Making. The project focuses on development and expansion of a mobile digital art class that is going to be provided at several local organizations. And we do have Leah here this morning with us also, so if you would like to ask any questions or get more information from her, we can open the floor.
Motion to open the floor.
Second.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The floor is open. Ms. Khalif?
If you could state your name and address for the record, that would be great.
It is Leah Michelle Califf at
Khalif.
557 Ruth Street. Yeah, most people say Khalif.
All right.
557 Ruth Street, Green Bay, Wisconsin, 54302. Okay. Would you like me just to give a little bit of background of how I came to be? When I am a traditional art teacher, I've been I'm going into my 24th year of teaching art and teaching it traditionally. And when COVID hit, I had to basically flip my classroom to where I had to teach all of my art online, which in itself was a difficult task, but we were able to achieve it by using the supplies that the students had at home. Doing that, I decided that I wanted to try out digital art. So I bought an iPad, I taught myself how to use the iPad, and then created a 6th grade digital art class. So my 5th graders learn traditional art, my 6th graders do digital art. In that process, I began reaching out into the community, wanting to bring digital art to other children in the community. So I basically wrote this grant because what I would like to do is I would like to expand this, and I would like to be able to go out into the Green Bay community, especially the first year, going to the Boys and Girls Club, maybe Art Garage and other organizations, and offering these digital art classes to children that are low income, moderate income. And then I also wanted to provide within the grant that I wrote some money set aside for those students. Like if I go to the Art Garage and the students are there, if they can't afford to pay for the classroom, that I would have a stipend or a scholarship for those students so that they could attend. And then the students at Boys Club, of course, those would be free to those students as well. And so this grant would fund the equipment that I would need. It would also pay for the prints. So the students would create anywhere from 3 to 5 digital projects, which would be emailed to them so that they would receive them and have their own work. But then I would have them choose one of their projects that they liked the best, and then I would send it to the printers and have it printed and get the work back to them. Any questions?
I just want to comment. I think this is a great opportunity for youth. I'm very a big supporter of Youth Voice, and I too taught digital visual arts at the Boys and Girls Club, as a matter of fact. But since I'm no longer there, we need something like this. I think the youth would be it's a great opportunity for youth. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question, and I apologize because my Zoom is spotty. I saw in the proposal that there would be stipends available for students at the Art Garage, and I wonder if you would consider using some of this funding to make it so that all of the Art Garage classes were free. Because I think even the having someone apply for a scholarship is a slight barrier, and if that's something you consider with the Art Garage.
I would definitely consider it. You know, I would have to look at, you know, how much they charge for classes or whatever, you know, how I work with them in the organization as to what the possible fee might be, but I could possibly, work with them and offer it to be free to all the students that come in. So it would just be a conversation that I would have to have with the Art Garage.
Okay, I would encourage you to consider that rather than having the scholarship be an application fee.
Okay,
second,
thank you. I
yeah.
will definitely.
And I,
Go ahead, Katie.
I was just gonna say, overall, I think I echo Alex. I think this is a timely project.
I had one question to see if you considered, so we're the Public Arts Commission, we have this money and I guess we're talking about art opportunities, but putting projects in the public in some way, shape or form is always something that could be done specifically in this regard, because the impact that you're going to have with students is great. That's high. The impact that this is going to have in regard to public art, I don't know if it's that high right now. Consider with picking or having the conversation with some students, like some of the digital work that they're creating and potentially doing a small mural or something like that. This to me is not a deal breaker. However, it's a consideration just to make your project a little bit more public. And also teach the students another way that they can potentially earn income as a professional artist. I'm wondering if you've considered that, or if you would potentially consider that being part of this project.
I definitely would consider it. One of my main goals is to help the students understand that art is relevant in everything. The clothes you wear, the cars you drive, the house you live in. An artist created all of that. So one of the things I would try to teach the students is how to get their artwork out there. But I also would be willing to work with organizations to see about how we could possibly put on a show. So especially with the Art Garage, they have that open gallery in the front and on the side. And I've worked with them as an artist because I'm also a professional artist. So I have worked with them before in that field. I could possibly work a deal with them where we could take and put those students' work on display, like have a little show for them. I think that would be a great idea. And I hadn't thought about it before, so I thank you for bringing that to my attention. It's a really good opportunity for the kids.
Definitely. Yeah.
Sorry, Kent, but we have space too. We have a hallway where we display a lot of youth art, and we have a community room that we're transforming. So we can also, depending on the rotation, be a potential venue for display.
Oh, nice. Thank you very
Nice to
much.
see the vista of the Neville.
Sorry, Katie?
And also at the Boys and
No,
Girls
just-
Club. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, the Boys and Girls Club.
I was just echoing Beth.
They have an open nights for families and parents to come in to view the arts. So I think you're covered.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Carliff, how are you doing the printing? I see it's only $100 for printing costs.
I actually work with the Oneida Nations printing services, and they offer me a really nice deal on print. So I'm Native American, and because of that, and because I work with the Oneida community, they offer me special pricing on printing. So I'm able to print quite a bit for a reasonable price.
I have a question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Being as there's potential to work with multiple different vendors, have you had initial conversations with some of these venues in regards to what you're anticipating with the project you're intending? Just trying to see what
Yes, I have spoken to the Art Garage. I also intend to spread out to the Native community as well. Eventually, after I do the Green Bay, I would like to, and I've already spoken to them and have already worked some stuff with them. I have not spoken to the Boys and Girls Club yet, but that would be my next step. After today would be my next step would be to kind of line some of these things up if I am approved for the grant.
The person you want to speak to at the Boys and Girls Club, his name is Craig Knitt, Knitt. He is their arts person there, and he would love having you there.
Okay, thank you.
I have another question about the timeline. I mean, you're a full-time teacher in the Pierce School District, right?
Yes,
So this is essentially like a side hustle where you're finishing up your day job and then teaching more children. And I I guess I'm just wondering, like, when will these classes be, and how is that, like, is that sustainable for you? Are there other people who could join you in instruction?
right. I have taught after-school classes for years. It's something that I'm used to. And I've done it in the afternoon hours. I get off at 3:20, I think it is, and some of my classes start at 4 o'clock that I've done previously. But those were more or less traditional classes. With the digital class, it's a lot of it's going to be based off of tutorials that I will create for these classes, and then the students will take the Chromebook and watch the tutorials, and it'll be at their pace. So if they're a slower learner, they can rewind and go back. And then for the more advanced learner, they may move a little bit faster. So there'll be anywhere from 3 to 5 projects that they'll do. Like I said, I'm used to teaching after school classes. So it would probably be whatever works best for the organization that I'm working for. I'm not sure if the Boys and Girls Club is open on the weekends. I would assume they would be, but that could also be a thing that I would do as well, work a weekend class.
And they're watching tutorials, but it's an in-person class?
It's an in-person class. So what happens is for the student who is a little bit slower, like some students can sit down and they just automatically pick it up and they go with it, okay? But then you're going to have your medium to slower students. So what that does is that frees me up to work with the slower to medium students while the other students can go ahead and move forward without having to wait for everyone else.
Thank you.
Yep.
Motion to close the floor?
I have one more question, sorry. I believe this was on your application, but how many students do you believe you'll have at a given time, and for like how many years do you expect this program to run?
Okay, so I have set it up for 10 students. And that's a good ratio, 10 to 1,
Yep.
one teacher for 10 students. That's manageable. I could possibly do more, probably up to 15, but I just, for this particular grant, I just wrote it for 10 students. I see doing this, I'm due to retire in about 4 years. So I see myself continuing this, that this is going to be my next job, so to speak. I love working in the community. I love working with students, and I have taught from age 10 all the way up to adults. So I've also taught adult classes as well. So I can see this hopefully becoming something bigger and doing more of.
Yep, got it. Thank you very much.
So wait, I want to clarify on that. 10 students per class, but like from now until the grant closes, are you hoping to do 10 classes? Are you hoping to do 3? What's the goal before December?
It would depend on it would depend on the organization. If they want me to have 3 classes, that would, be 30 students. If they want, if they want me to do 5, I would do 5. It just depends on how they can fit me in their schedule and how many times they would want me to come in. But it would be 10 kids per class.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Motion to close the
Did
floor?
I hear
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The floor is now closed. Laura, remind me now we're back in regular business and we further discuss and vote.
Mhm.
Thank you, Michelle.
Okay.
If you'd like to, you can, but we will continue to make decisions. You just won't be able to talk.
Okay,
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much.
thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
So I, for one, think this is a great program specifically because of the impact that it's going to have with youth. And it sounds like she's considering and already has considered like kind of next steps for the kids, like getting kids who are interested in art to become professionals or to consider making money with art is so enormous in my view. So this program sounds like it would provide support for those types of students from an artist. So I'm in full support of this project as requested.
I'm also in support, and if there is an opportunity to collaborate with the Boys and Girls Club, you're going to reach a lot of youth after school programs. So, and it serves a lot of underrepresented youth in our community. So I'm in full support as well.
I have some hesitations about this project. I'm in full support of the spirit of it. But what I just heard is that it's an unknown number of students because none of these classes are scheduled because Ms. Califf has not yet approached some of these organizations. And so just in terms of reporting out, this is $10,000 for potentially 40 students in the next couple months, whereas the Chantrels had kind of a more tightly proposed package. I'm not saying that I would vote against this, but I have some hesitations about this dollar amount and in terms of the impact that it will. I mean, I guess it's all speculative, the impact, but I would like to see more like schedule. I'd like to know more about what happens to the work. I love that there's a printing budget for students, but I think that I would just like to see those things develop more. So those are my hesitations. Chuck, what are your thoughts?
I had some initial reservations also, and that's why I had a question in regards to collaboration with some of these venues, if there's been initial conversations with them, because, you know, I understand the Boys and Girls Club would probably be very interested in having an art program, but there's a chance they could just say no. You know, and I'm not familiar with all the different art venues, so I can't really say, you know, like who's gonna be more interested in doing so. I do believe, you know, like Kent and Alex was saying that it is a great program. When I read it, I was very interested in it. But I have the same reservations as you have, mainly because, you know, we give out this money and then no one wants an art program. Well, hopefully that doesn't happen, right? But I do see that once we do this, and if it proves successful, all these materials can be reused next year, the year after, right? And that introduces a lot more kids to the art program.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a potential for growth, and there's a potential right now that it doesn't move. So
Would it
that's,
alleviate, oh, sorry, Chuck. Would it alleviate everybody's concern if I committed the Neville? I can commit the Neville as a
That would
venue.
address some.
You know, I could commit the Neville as a venue, and I could commit space if space is needed for coursework. We're open 6 days a week. We have long hours on every Tuesday. So we don't have a shortage of space, and we definitely could fit it into our, either, like I said, our hallway program or our community room. And we have a brand new educator that I think would be very thrilled to help partner with it, and a new exhibition manager that can get it into the rotation. So if that helps alleviate, I'd be happy to make that bridge.
And also, if I can add, you know, we rarely have representatives from the Native American community, and this is an opportunity for our organization to get there as well. So I think it's a win-win both ways.
Something
All
that
right.
I took from the description from Michelle was she's been a teacher for 20 years, and that she's more than 20 years, and that she plans on continuing this program after her retirement. So you know, it might not, while this gets going, and thank you, Beth, for volunteering the Neville. I think that would help. Your concerns are very valid, though. I think maybe that could be fleshed out a little bit more in terms of, you know, solid contacts and allies for this program. But I think her track record is strong. So
Mhm.
All right, sounds like we've heard from everyone. We have a motion to approve the budget as listed.
Second,
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The motion passes. That brings us to number 3, right?
Consideration with
All
possible
right.
the City of Green Bay Public Art Grant application, we will be seeing mural restoration. Again, being funded through the same mechanism that our previous applications were funded through. The applicant, Lo Shulo, is proposing the We Will Be Seeing Mural Restoration Project. The project focuses on funding the materials and the artist's time to restore the failing portions of the We Will Be Seeing mural located on Napoli's Lounge at 1351 Cedar Street. In 2021, Napoli's Lounge received a facade grant from the city to help fund the creation of this mural, along with several other exterior enhancements to the building. Unfortunately, there is some material incompatibility resulting in the premature paint that's flaking off now. We do have a representative for the project. Martha is on the call, so if you'd like to open the floor, she can speak to this item if you're interested.
Motion to open the floor.
second,
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
All right, the floor is open.
Martha, if you could state your name and address for the record, that would be fantastic.
Sure, it's Martha. I live at 521 Hilltop Drive, Green Bay, 54301.
Thanks for joining.
Happy to be here. You want me to make a statement or what would you
yeah,
like?
Martha, can you just share a little bit about it?
Sure. I think as many of you know that, you know, the original vision way back in the end of 2020 was to do a 4x6 mural on the Napoli's Lounge and have a modest party afterwards. However, given the needs, the challenges faced by the LGBTQ plus community, and I think Green Bay's real desire to lift up the queer community, that modest proposal exploded into 24 different organizations and businesses and city departments and groups to plan a full weekend with a block party and the mayor unveiling the mural, and the impact on the LGBTQ plus community, not just that day, but since then, has been rather dramatic. You know, that day there were people in tears who said they never believed they would see the day that a mural to celebrate their lives and contributions to Northeast Wisconsin would ever be a reality. Since the mural has been put up, it has become a state symbol of the challenges and gifts and talents of the LGBTQ community. There are at least 2 or 3 books that we know of that'll be published in 24, 25 that have asked for permission to use the image. This past June, we participated in the Milwaukee Pride Parade and had huge copies of the mural that was well received. I recently, along with Rachel Mays and Sawyer Hobson, videotaped to build a better Wisconsin. And the opening shots of the video that'll be posted on social media sites, again, affirming the gifts, talents, struggles, realities of trans life, was prominent in the videos that'll be released to social media this week sometime, I believe. It has begun to peel, and we want to catch that before it gets out of hand. Right now, we're very fortunate that much of the peeling, if you recall the actual picture of the mural, is on the stripes of the flag, not necessarily on the figures. But before that does happen, we want to make sure that we first of all scrape off, sand down the places that are peeling, repaint those stripes, and then apply a preservative coat that we plan or hope, anticipate will act as a kind of an epoxy that will preserve the mural for many, many years to come. We have the original artist, Lo Shu, who is working and couldn't be here, who is willing to do the work. So we would ask on behalf of the LGBTQ plus community, your assistance in maintaining what is becoming an increasingly famous mural for the city of Green Bay.
Thank you, Martha. Questions from the floor?
I think it was very well laid out, the needs and requirements and purpose for this project. In favor.
Martha, I have a question about the materials. You meant, like, what is causing the paint to flake only 2 years out?
Our surmise is that, first of all, when we worked with the city to get permission to apply the mural, the Napoli's Lounge has the quote potential, should they ever decide to be a historical preservation site because of its unique architecture. And therefore we were not allowed to paint directly onto the brick. And so we had to apply 3/4 inch plywood, exterior marine grade plywood. Over that plywood, we put an undercoat, which was a latex paint. And over that, we put the enamel. And so the enamel that we used was not compatible, or as compatible as we'd like, as it could be with the latex undercoat. And so we also had to put on a light. At that time, we were very concerned about vandalism. I'm happy to report that has not been an issue in the years that it's been there now. And so our hope is that by putting, multiple coats of spar varnish, that will create an epoxy finish that will seal in and take care of those blemishes.
Okay, thanks for explaining that. I'm admittedly not a muralist or a painter. Have you all talked with someone who does this professionally to know? To me, it seems like there's the potential for sealing in, like the base will still be latex on wood, which I just wonder if it's going to kind of keep bubbling up, or you know,
Yeah, we
does
have
someone
talked
who does
with,
this for a living weighed in on this solution? Okay.
yes, we have talked with a professional painter. We've also talked with the people at Sherwin-Williams and asked them about the likelihood of success, because we have obviously the same concern. And while nothing can be guaranteed 100%, they were pretty confident that this would be the best solution to our challenge.
Great, thank you. Other questions from the floor?
I'll make a
Okay,
motion
sounds
to
like we've
close
wrapped
the
up floor time. Oh, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The floor is closed. Thank you, Martha, very much. And as Laura has said, you're welcome to stay and listen, but now you don't get to talk. Sorry. All right,
I'm in favor.
committee?
When I was filling out the form, or Laura, was there, I guess, we filled out those forms that we sent you? Was that?
So
We didn't, I guess we didn't even discuss that as to what those points were and how that came about and how that relates.
The scores that you had submitted to me, I tabulated them up. It wasn't completely useless that you guys filled those out, so thank you. As far as this project goes, this ranks right in the middle.
Okay,
If we're comparing to the other projects that we reviewed and approved today, this one is right in the middle. And I think this comes from kind of the conversation that we had about, does this project qualify since it was already a previously completed project? And that was something that I struggled with when first evaluating this application. Because the grant does say that it's only for new projects. Since the applicant is not requesting funds to pay for the previous work that they've done, I'm considering this a new project. It's a new phase of upkeep of this project, or like an ongoing portion of this project. And I think ultimately, yes, it's not as sexy or as appealing as funding a completely new mural, but I think it's within our realm, and I think our diligence to take care of our art collection. Not just creating new art and new opportunities, but maintaining the art that we have and showing that we do care about what's already been created here. So if in the future on Broadway's murals from the Mural Busker Festival start to fail, I would like to think that we could have funds available to help upkeep those also.
the question that I have though is because of the what we have, like what you're explaining before about the reasoning behind the grant system was for the creation of new art. Whereas we provided funds initially in the facade grant to create the art as it is. But I look at like our rotating art program, like we provide funds for the artists to put the art pieces up, but then included in that there's maintenance, but we, like that's already included in those costs, right? In this case here, like this is private art that's viewable by public in a sense. And we've already funded it, so I'm not that's where I'm hesitant on, you know, like where, how the grant, the mission of the grant is, versus running it for maintenance. And I was, like I told Laura, I was hoping one of the committee members or the other board members probably have a better idea than I would in regards to this. So I was hoping, you know, like someone else might have additional
I think
thoughts.
you make a great point, Chuck. It is essentially maintenance. I think to Laura's point, one of the kind of common failings in public art programs in municipalities is that they only pay to have it installed and they don't think about its maintenance. And I guess also given what Martha has said about the cultural significance of this mural, that's maybe where I'm a little more focused, as opposed to the kind of the letter of the law of this grant. And as Laura said, they're asking for funding to do new work on this grant. So, you know, it's new brushes, new materials. I hear what you're saying, and I think that that's an important point. But for me, I think I'm swayed by the other considerations a little more. And I think this is a pretty modest proposal budget wise. I'm glad to see that the artist receives a small stipend. But yeah, the most expensive cost is $600 for that spar varnish. So, and we got a lot of money to give out, you know. So that's where I'm falling with this. But I think you make really valid points.
Yeah, I agree, Chuck. Like, we need to have that consideration called out as we move forward, and you know that having you on our board to make that flag, to raise that flag is a good thing. I also agree with Katie that the cultural significance, and I mean, this is an art opportunity in my view, but this project didn't have a maintenance plan maybe at the on the front end, and probably it should have. So yeah, I thank you for bringing that to the table.
Yeah, I feel that this is a significant piece of art in our community, and specifically for LGBTQ. So it was probably a challenge just to get it up there, and now we're responsible to maintain that in any fashion or form, just because of its significance now to the Green Bay community. It's an important project.
Here's a question for our committee. If they came back in 2 years and wanted the same amount of money, would we grant it again?
That's the hesitation that I have is ultimately, because this sets precedents for everything else that follows, right? So if I'm another artist that I have another piece up in Green Bay and I come back and I say, hey, I built this, you know, 4 years ago, but I need to maintain it. I'm not creating new art, but I'm trying to maintain this piece of art here. Can I get funds? Right now, we already set precedents that that's okay, and that's just the way that I, you know, like dealing with.
We set precedent that it is eligible. Yeah.
But
I'm not as bothered by that future scenario of funding maintenance.
I guess we cross that bridge if it comes.
I think the challenge is case by case. You know what I mean? It's and I think we should just take it on as a case by case. If it arrives again, then we have the discussion and we make a decision.
I make a motion that we approve this project as requested.
Second. Sorry, do we have to close it? Oh, we already closed it. Sorry.
I think Katie got off a little bit. Is she still on?
I'm back. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. All right, and our next bit of regular business is
Thanks, Martha.
moving away from the public arts grants. Laura, can you tell us a little bit about this project?
Yes. Item number 4, consideration with possible action to review and approve the Farland Park art request for proposal. The RFP that was included in the agenda packet was developed by city staff. I've been working with Parks Department. As you know, generally, the redevelopment authority has been very kind to us and allocates a portion of their community development block grant dollars towards beautification. With our most recent allocation, a total of $50,000. Staff has proposed this RFP to create public art sculptures or amenities or landforms within Farland Park. Parks is already has plans drafted up for several improvements to the park, including kind of moving a number of amenities in that park. And this would be a portion added on to improvements that the city is already making within that area. The call, what's kind of unique about this call is that it's drafted right now to either be outright purchase of some artwork if it's fitting for the project, or commissioning new work. It's a little bit of a tight timeline. Again, we have to spend that money ideally by the end of October. So are there, I know there's a lot of information in the RFP, but are there any initial thoughts, questions, edits you'd like made?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, my initial concern is just the super quick turnaround of like finalists are chosen the night the work is a month later.
Yes, that's why
That seems to me kind of to necessitate pre-made work.
correct.
So is this RFP going to
As you plan the grant deadline, so.
submit their prefabricated work for review?
If they have prefabricated work in the hopper ready, yeah, they could
Or if they
submit that.
can, or if they can build something with
I
that.
would say, if they're willing to take on the task.
Does the art need to be delivered by November 15th? Because fall, summer 2024 art is installed at site. That seems like a big gap. What if someone is working on a project till April?
The problem comes in with your CDBG funding. The government has their regulations. We have to have product in hand to pay completely for something.
Mhm. Completely, or like if, okay, so like all the funds need to be out the door by the end of 23, is that correct?
If you don't want to lose them, yes, otherwise they may have to be allocated to something else to be spent to make our timeliness.
Okay. I mean, it's unfortunate that the time constraint is very crunched. However, I don't see any other way around it. Like the sooner we get this passed, the better. So I'd say let's move it forward. I mean, if a lot of artists have stuff that they could sell on site, and it does provide a little bit of a window for people to fabricate. So the sooner they see this, the better.
I have a question that some
You're breaking up, Katie.
Sorry, it's raining here. Why whimsical? Why state whimsical?
I believe I heard why whimsical, is that correct? Oh, I think Katie's gone.
Yep.
This was portions, I guess, to answer Katie's question, even though she's no longer here. Whimsical was included as part of Parks' desire for kind of a feeling of the piece. We can take that out. I think ultimately Parks is interested in seeing some sort of sculptural element or enhancement that can interact with the landscaping within this park, and also potentially using those Goric balls that they have available.
So they're looking for two artists or two artist teams, both being allocated $25,000 for two pieces of artworks, right? Or two installations.
Correct.
Now, if we're looking to purchase artwork, wouldn't that open it up to more artists, considering that being 12 hillocks, you might need more pieces of art?
I don't think Parks is necessarily interested in having a piece of art on each hillock. The images of the hillocks that are in here, that's the site currently. Within the proposed site plan, the updated plan for the park, those landforms are most likely going to change a little bit. Not too much though. I mean, the people that utilize this park, they while I was out taking photos, I saw someone running up and down on these hillocks. So they're definitely in use. So they don't want to get rid of them, but just some slight reshaping. So I don't think there's a need to have art on each of these sites.
But you know, because what I'm asking about is, you know, like we have two teams getting $25,000, but what if we, you know, like in this case here, couldn't we just purchase 4 pieces of art from 4 different artists at $12,000? You know, and versus trying to find a piece for 25. If we're purchasing versus, you know, like fabricating, right?
In that,
I think Katie was mentioning that it would have a bigger impact. Is that right, Katie? Okay.
And I would want them to relate to one another. So to me, I think you better visually and culturally with fewer pieces that can find side. Part could be
Katie, we're having.
Yeah, that's tough. I am getting your text though, Katie. So if you want to mention your comment in a text, I can read that if you're hearing what I'm saying. But did it come Parks that they requested this amount? So like 2 more monumental type sculptures rather than 4 smaller sculptures? Would they be potentially open? Is that what you're suggesting, Chuck?
No, I just wasn't sure, as because if we're talking about like buying prefabricated pieces and installing them on or around the hillocks, you know, what if the pieces are only $10,000? Can we purchase from 4? You know, like, do we have to purchase them from the same artist for $25,000? You know, or can we just say, hey, we like this piece of art, we like this piece of art. This is 5,000. This is 6,000. Hey, we can buy more, right? I guess for the budgeting, I understand the budgeting portion, how they wrote it up, but is that flexible? Is what I'm asking. You know, is it flexible depending on what artists send in? You know, so are we? Because here, I guess, are we asking them to? When are we supposed to be getting concepts from them, or you know, if we approve this, are they supposed to be sending concepts in for review by the next PAC? I
think we're charged with just approving this program as stated, and we can make suggested amendments to it that we deem necessary. But I think we need to approve this, but we can't really change the item isn't to change it; it's just to approve it. So we can approve it with amendment suggestions, I think.
Yeah, the ultimate goal is to approve the RFP, but we can make revisions. I think maybe what I could do as far as updating the budget portion is, maybe not expressly stating between two artists, but more so saying that
There's
if an artist is
flexibility.
proposing something, the budget should not exceed 25,000.
Yes.
So then that way, like you said, if an artist has a $12,000 piece and they want to submit it, then it's kind of up to us. We're gonna have to do some creative math work to figure out which ones we will be able to purchase then.
Wouldn't it be up to Parks to determine how many pieces they want and where they want it in a sense?
Yeah, typically when we've been working with parks, as far as the art that we approve for them, they really review it first before it comes to you guys.
Okay, so an artist provides a piece for 12,000, another artist provides a piece for 8,000. It doesn't amount to 50, but there's more. Parks could say, hey, we'll take these two, and that's it. Or they could come back and say, hey, we got more money. Well, we'll take 4 of these, right?
But what I would propose is to take out the word two for the budget I would just say between artists. That way they can choose how many they want to use, but it
Amount
won't
not to
exceed.
exceed 25,000.
That way,
I like that.
4 artists at 12,000 a piece, you know, it's not exceeding the 25,000 each.
Yeah. And
You can get more.
And the parks might say, hey, we got 6 hillocks. You guys can go here, you can know, we don't like, there's room, right? And the only reason why I saw that is because I like these turtles. When I saw the turtles, I was like, that's kind of neat.
I would suggest removing the 2 and also each receiving 25,000. So if items that really expand opportunities to parks, but also to artists to propose work.
I support that amendment.
Yeah, I support that.
But adding the amount not to exceed, right?
Sure. Yep. Yeah. So remove 2 teams each or all projects not to exceed 25,000. Or no project to exceed 25,000. Then I'll make a motion to
Oh,
pass.
so- Seconded. Motion to pass with
I wanna-
amendments, right?
Can we also make a recommendation to parks? Can we do this at Murphy Park and not farther? Just side note. Go ahead, sorry.
All right, the motion has been made and seconded, so we're waiting for y'all to, you
I
know,
Hey,
all right. The motion passes.
Chuck, sounds like you're ready to apply over there.
After I didn't even know Farland Park had hillocks until the pictures. And then I was like, I wonder if they can do that over by my park.
Yeah, they're cool.
And that moves us to the financial report.
Yes. Would you like this pulled up on the screen?
Yes, please.
All right, can you guys see the slide? Probably not.
No.
Do this. Bear with me.
Now, can you see?
Yes.
So this is our financial report for June 30th, most recent date of our kind of account updates. Again, at the top there, we have all of our kind of main buckets as far as our beginning balances, what we got in and what we've expended out of those kind of main buckets. Going down the list, then we've kind of split those buckets up into the specifics and nitty gritties of where that money is being allocated, if it is being allocated, and the details of that. So kind of looking at our CDBG funding bucket initially, our shipyard underpass money that is moving. And then out of that unallocated portion, that is where 50,000 is going to be coming out of that you guys had just approved for the Farland Park RFP. So we still have roughly 54,000 remaining to use. So moving downward, then we have our city grants fund. This really has been used for our rotating art payments. A portion has been set aside as our match for our shipyard murals for the NEA grant. And then again, kind of using that initial money for our rotating art program. Below that is our National Endowment for the Arts grant, which is set aside specifically for those murals. Then going into our city funds, that's our ARPA money. Rotating art grant, we have $50,000 allocated towards that. So our incoming artists that we're working with this year, they will be paid out of that money. And then kind of our expenses for that program going forward for the next several years will be out of ARPA. Our art grants, we have 150,000 total minus 21,323, which is what you guys had approved today. So next time, as we get more applications, since those are rolling, that number will be updated, so you can kind of see the full amount that we have to play with. City donations, these are our restricted funds. We still have $19,800 reserved for any maintenance needed on our Embark sculpture. And then our Friends account is split up. Those are our unrestricted funds that are held both in the Greater Green Bay Community Foundation account and in our bank account. Any questions running through that initially?
No, thank you.
Looks good.
Okay. Beautiful. Continuing on then, I guess we're good. Can stop sharing. Yeah. Right. Get back. Continuing on to coordinators report and project updates. As I mentioned, our rotating art program still working on coordinating schedules with our incoming artists and our outgoing artists, having their work kind of swapped out. In addition, our Mason Street Bridge murals, the shipyard murals, those are currently being put up. So if you want to travel over that way, you can kind of see the work that is being done over there. Tonight, during the farmers market on Broadway, there will be a pop-up city hall and a chance for people to meet with the artists. In addition to that, we will also be having a pop-up city hall this weekend at Art Fest for people to get a chance to meet with those artists. And we'll also be pitching our art grant program at that event also. In addition to that, at Art Fest, hopefully you guys are going. I will be assisting with Downtown Green Bay's Clay Mosaic for a portion, that project that we had all approved during our last meeting, I believe. That will be being produced Saturday and Sunday, both days from 11 to 4. So if you want to stop out and make some marks on the projects that you've approved, that is going on. Other than that, our next meeting is going to be August 23rd.
Thanks, Laura.
Problem.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys, and thanks. We helped artists today.
Good.
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
All opposed? And meeting adjourned. Thanks, everybody.